What makes someone truly magnetic? Not just admired, but deeply respected, even when they say nothing at all? Have you ever met someone who carried a quiet strength, an invisible gravity that seemed to draw others in effortlessly? What was it that set them apart? This script is not about charm or charisma. It is not a list of tricks to impress people or manipulate emotions. This is about something far deeper: your essence, your inner value, and how to bring it to the surface so the world cannot help but recognize it. In this journey, we explore 9 keys to being seen as a high-value individual, grounded in the profound psychology of Carl Jung and enriched by the spiritual wisdom of self-awareness, purpose, and inner alchemy. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That statement alone hints at something powerful. Your true self is not something you create, but something you uncover. To be seen as high value, you must see yourself first. And that starts not with how others treat you, but with how deeply you're willing to meet yourself. Beneath the noise, the masks, the expectations, lies a version of you that is powerful, radiant, and whole. But it has been hidden under layers of social conditioning and unconscious fear. This first section invites you to ask, who am I when I'm not performing? What truths about myself have I buried in order to be accepted? Carl Jung's work on the unconscious mind, archetypes, and individuation gives us a map for this discovery. According to Jung, you are not just one personality, you are a constellation of potential selves waiting to be integrated. The self you project to the world, known as the persona, is only a fragment. The deeper self, the totality of who you are, including your light and your shadow, is where true value resides. So this is where we begin, with curiosity, with courage, with the willingness to ask not how to seem high value, but how to become the kind of person who no longer needs to be seen, because their presence speaks for itself. Welcome to your awakening. Have you ever sensed that something inside you was out of sync? Like part of you wants to be loved, but another part fears being truly seen? That internal contradiction is the root of many of our struggles, and it is also the gateway to our transformation. Carl Jung taught that our psyche is divided into conscious and unconscious parts. When these parts are in conflict, we feel anxious, lost, or inauthentic. But when they are aligned, when we live in harmony with all parts of ourselves, we radiate clarity and strength. Inner alignment is the first key to being seen as a high-value individual. It means living in congruence. Your words match your values. Your actions reflect your truth. People may not know why they trust you, but they feel it. Think about the last time you met someone who just felt grounded. They weren't trying to impress. They were simply there, fully present. That's what alignment looks like. It is not perfection, it's integrity. But to align with yourself, you must first face your shadow. Jung described the shadow as the parts of ourselves we repress or deny: anger, envy, insecurity, trauma. Most people avoid their shadow, projecting it onto others or burying it beneath fake confidence. Yet, high-value individuals do the opposite. They befriend their shadow. They listen to its messages, learn its language. Because in the depths of your shadow lies your deepest truth and the source of your greatest strength. Here's the paradox. The more you deny parts of yourself, the more those parts control you. But when you integrate them, you become whole. And wholeness is irresistible. Ask yourself, what am I pretending not to feel? What parts of me have I disowned to fit in? And what would it look like to accept them instead? Inner alignment isn't something you fake. It's something you embody. And when you do, people feel the shift because you no longer need validation. You are no longer performing. You are simply real. There's a kind of power that doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention or dominate conversations. It simply exists, quietly, confidently. It is the power of presence, and it is one of the rarest and most magnetic qualities a person can carry. Carl Jung believed that psychological maturity was marked by the capacity to contain one's inner world without projecting it. In other words, when you've integrated your inner chaos, you no longer spill it onto others. You become self-contained. That containment is not coldness, it's inner mastery. We live in a world addicted to noise, to oversharing, to overselling. But high-value individuals carry the opposite energy. They embody restraint, poise, calm. They've made peace with silence. They don't need to prove their worth. Their presence says it all. Jung called this the process of individuation, the emergence of the true self from the fragments of the ego. When you individuate, you no longer need the world to validate you. You are rooted from within. Think of a mountain. It doesn't move. It doesn't chase. Yet it commands awe. You can be that mountain. Start by observing your inner reactivity. Do you need to be understood? Do you feel the urge to explain yourself? To fix how others see you? Let that go. True power is the ability to let things be. Let people misunderstand you. Let silence speak. In spiritual traditions, this is called equanimity. The ability to stay calm amid chaos, not because you don't feel, but because you trust something deeper than emotion. You trust your essence. Embodying silent strength doesn't mean repressing. It means refining. It means transmuting emotion into presence, reaction into wisdom. Ask yourself, what am I trying to control? What would it look like to simply be? When you learn to dwell in your center, the world begins to orbit around your energy. Not because you force it to, but because your presence invites it to. Inside you live ancient energies, patterns of behavior, wisdom, and power that Carl Jung called archetypes. These are not fantasies or role models. They are structures of the psyche, universal characters that live in our collective unconscious. And here's the secret. High-value individuals embody these archetypes consciously. The sage, the warrior, the lover, the king or queen. These archetypes are not about gender. They are about energy. Each one brings a different quality to your presence. When integrated, they make you unforgettable. The warrior teaches strength and boundaries. The sage offers wisdom and clarity. The lover brings depth, connection, magnetism. The king or queen offers vision, leadership, and stability. Most people oscillate unconsciously between these roles, often trapped in their distorted shadows. Aggression instead of strength, manipulation instead of connection, arrogance instead of leadership. But when you awaken these archetypes within you, when you live them intentionally, your energy becomes both multidimensional and balanced. People don't just see a person, they feel an energy field. Something archetypal, timeless. To awaken an archetype, start by identifying which one you've been suppressing. Have you been afraid to speak with authority? That's the king archetype calling you. Have you been afraid to love deeply? That's the lover archetype asking for expression. Jung believed individuation involves activating these archetypes and integrating their wisdom into our unique self. You don't become the archetype, you channel it through your authentic being. Ask yourself, what energy does this moment require from me? Which inner character have I been denying? The moment you step into that inner role with awareness, your life changes. You become more than a person. You become a presence. Most people want admiration, but few are willing to walk the path that deserves it. The path of individuation is not glamorous. It is often lonely, confusing, and uncomfortable. But it is the only path that leads to authentic self-worth. Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming the person you are meant to be, not the person society expects, your parents wanted, or your fears allowed, but you, in your wholeness. High-value individuals have walked this path. They have questioned their beliefs. They have faced their wounds. They have stripped away the masks and gone into the dark, only to emerge with a light that is their own. This light cannot be copied. It cannot be faked. It can only be earned through inner work. Individuation is not a destination. It is a lifetime unfolding. And with each layer you peel away, you become more you. And the more you become yourself, the more the world responds with recognition, not of your image, but of your essence. Jung warned that those who avoid this journey remain fragmented. They become slaves to approval, easily swayed, forever incomplete. But those who embrace it become sovereign. So ask yourself, where have I abandoned myself for acceptance? What parts of me are waiting to be reclaimed? The path of individuation is not easy, but it is sacred. And the more you walk it, the less you need to convince anyone of your value. You simply become undeniable. What drives you when no one is watching? What wakes you up in the morning, not with dread, but with fire? There is something deeply magnetic about a person who moves with purpose. Not the kind driven by ego, but the kind anchored in soul. Carl Jung believed each person has an innate blueprint, a hidden code that, when followed, leads to fulfillment and integration. He wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." High-value individuals have awakened to a sense of inner purpose. They are not drifting. They are not reacting to life. They are responding to a deep call from within. This doesn't mean they have everything figured out, but they are listening. Spiritual purpose is not always a career or grand mission. Sometimes it's a way of being. It's the commitment to truth, to healing, to expressing your gifts in service of something greater than yourself. When you live with purpose, your energy changes. You become more decisive. You tolerate less noise. Your presence becomes anchored in meaning. People sense this and respond with respect, even if they can't explain why. Purpose makes you rare in a world of distraction. It gives your relationships clarity. It gives your words weight. It gives your silence power. To live with purpose, you must be willing to let go of what no longer resonates. You must trust the quiet voice within that says, "There's more to you than this." Ask yourself, what breaks your heart open? What truth keeps returning, no matter how many times you push it away? Follow that thread. Your purpose is not outside you. It is waiting to be remembered. One of the clearest signs of someone who values themselves is this. They have boundaries, and they uphold them without guilt. In Jungian terms, boundaries are a sign of individuation. They reflect your ability to distinguish between the self and the other. Without boundaries, we lose ourselves. We merge out of fear, or we abandon ourselves for approval. High-value individuals are not rigid, but they are clear. They know what they stand for. They know what they will and won't allow. And most importantly, they don't over-explain their worth. You see, boundaries are not about rejection. They are about protection. They are the energetic fences that guard your time, your peace, your energy. Spiritually, setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It says, "I am sacred ground. I honor myself enough to choose who gets access to me." And here's the twist. When you have healthy boundaries, people feel safer around you. They may resist at first, but deep down they sense you're trustworthy because you trust yourself. Jung would argue that those who struggle with boundaries often have unintegrated shadow material. The fear of being alone, the fear of conflict, the wound of unworthiness. But when you do the inner work, when you heal those parts, you stop leaking energy. You stop attracting chaos. Ask yourself, where am I saying yes when I mean no? What am I afraid will happen if I honor my limits? Boundaries don't push people away. They invite the right ones in. We live in a culture that tells us to hide our feelings, to be strong, unbothered, always in control. But Carl Jung warned that what we repress becomes the shadow, and what we do not face, we cannot heal. High-value individuals don't suppress emotion, they transmute it. They practice emotional alchemy. Emotional alchemy is the art of turning pain into wisdom. It's not about suppressing tears or faking positivity. It's about feeling fully, processing wisely, and responding consciously. Think of a person who can stay grounded when others are triggered, who can feel anger but not be ruled by it, who can hold sadness without drowning in it. That's real emotional mastery. That's high value. Jung saw emotions as messengers from the unconscious. When you feel triggered, it's not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something within is asking to be seen. Spiritual traditions echo this truth. In many teachings, emotions are portals to awareness. When we feel them consciously, they become keys to transformation. Next time you feel an intense emotion, pause. Ask, what is this teaching me about my wounds, my needs, my story? Instead of reacting outward, turn inward. Listen. That's emotional sovereignty, and it's a superpower. People trust those who are emotionally intelligent. They feel safe around you because you are not ruled by storms. You weather them. Master your inner world, and the outer world bends to meet you with new respect. Have you ever thought of someone and they suddenly called? Or stumbled upon the exact book or quote you needed at the right moment? Carl Jung called these meaningful coincidences synchronicities, and he believed they were signs that your inner and outer worlds are aligned. High-value individuals don't ignore these signs. They notice. They listen. They move through life with a quiet awareness that something deeper is guiding them. Jung saw synchronicity as the bridge between psyche and matter, a glimpse into the deeper order of things. And the more you align with your authentic self, the more these signs appear. When you live unconsciously, when you're disconnected from your truth, life feels random. But when you become aligned, the universe begins to respond. This isn't magical thinking. It's a subtle language that speaks through patterns, people, dreams, and symbols. A language the soul understands. Many spiritual traditions speak of omens, guides, intuition. Synchronicity is the Western echo of these teachings. It's the self communicating through the fabric of reality. To cultivate synchronicity, live in presence, reflect, journal. Trust your inner nudges. Pay attention to the symbols that keep appearing. Ask yourself, what patterns have I been ignoring? What coincidences have felt too precise to be random? Your life is always speaking to you. Are you listening? High-value individuals do not force life. They dance with it. They follow the rhythm of the unseen. And because of that, they often find themselves exactly where they're meant to be, without needing to control the outcome. The final key is not about doing more. It's about being more, being rooted, radiant, real. You've walked with Jung through the realms of shadow, archetypes, purpose, and emotional depth. You've explored the terrain of your inner world, and now the invitation is clear. Become the lighthouse. A lighthouse does not chase ships. It does not scream for attention. It simply stands, tall, luminous, unwavering. And by doing so, it becomes a point of guidance for others. High-value individuals are lighthouses. They don't strive to impress. They express their essence. And in doing so, they change every room they enter, not with noise, but with presence. This is the power of deep self-worth. It's not loud. It's not needy. It's not about being liked. It's about being true. Carl Jung believed that the ultimate goal of life was to become whole. Not perfect, not polished, but whole. That means knowing your darkness and choosing the light anyway. It means walking your path, even when others don't understand it. So here's the truth. You don't need to become someone else to be valuable. You just need to return to who you really are beneath the masks, and then live from that place, boldly, gently, relentlessly. The world does not need more perfection. It needs more truth, and your truth, lived fully, is your highest value. Now go become the lighthouse.